everyone to the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival 2021 Q&As. I am Samara. Thank you for joining us. This year, our full program will be screened online until tomorrow, the 28th. I hope you guys got a chance to catch our new media exhibition that was online and in person at Grandison Lab Belmont this past Friday and Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Feel free to comment and ask any questions you have for the filmmakers, and we'll try to answer them during the session. And of course, don't forget you can check out our website, ttfilmfestival.com, for info. We would also like to thank our ttff 21 sponsors and partners. NGC is our signature sponsor this year, and we have leading sponsorship from Shell Trinidad and Tobago and Republic Bank Limited. All right, so today with me are some directors from our student film package. We have Amir Valen, representing for the Cuban short Pick Up the Wind, Ayana Harper, representing for the short from the United States, The Interview. We have Rhiana Bonterre, representing for the United Kingdom short To Shake and Disturb, to bring us back to ourselves. We also have Duda Gamboji, representing for the Brazilian short The Last Stand, and the last but not least, Lisa and Gayle, representing the Jamaican short Sisters. Welcome to you all. Hi. So my questions are going to be for like everyone. So you take a chance. Whoever wants to go first can jump in and answer, right? So I realize that kind of all these shorts deal with overcoming and pushing through obstacles. So I'd like to invite each of you to share a bit more about yourselves in relation to the works and some ways you all overcame the challenges faced in the process of making these works.
I don't mind going first. That's okay. Yeah. So my film was To Shake and Disturb and Bring Us Back to Ourselves. I made it last year, October. That's when I first started filming. So it was in the wake of the pandemic and also the whole Black Lives Matter movement that was going on. And so I had a lot of kind of thoughts around a kind of frustration, impatience, and also sort of craving a sense of healing. I just finished a book on Black radicalism, and I was also looking a lot into African spirituality practices. And so I kind of thought in the film, I really wanted to give voice to those who were impacted by the pandemic in combination with the madness that was going on with the Black Lives Matter movement, while also having a space to be vulnerable and talk about how these sort of things can affect you personally and emotionally. And I guess that was my sort of train of thought around the whole thing, this kind of contrasting frustration, but also wanting to be vulnerable and sensitive and yes, kind of go through some sort of healing with all that going on. That's kind of how it related to me. Yeah.
I can go ahead if you want next. So last summer, I took a class at New York Film Academy, and it was a documentary class. And we had to do like a 2-part series that included interviews. And then basically what happened was I did shoot something and it absolutely didn't work out. So I had like a major panic and I didn't know what to do. And then I thought, why don't I just parody that entire experience of being a filmmaker, trying to do an interview, no one wants to do it with me. And then finally, when I do get someone, it doesn't go the way that I want. So, and actually in the way that it related to my real life, my dad was, a lot of that was ad-libbing, which I think worked out in the end because I would try to give direction and he would just be like, I'm doing it myself. So it worked out. But yeah, so that's basically how it sort of related to my life.
I think I had a similar experience in the sense that The film is about my own life, like trying to do something and it just doesn't work out. Because what happens is, in Brazil, we had the pandemic, and then we had all these arts announcements that were supposed, like emergency funds for artists and relief and stuff like that. And they were very, very, very extremely bureaucratic and hard to get in, and like with all these things you have to fill up and spend. Yeah, all my friends who worked in the film business, in artists of all sorts, were like struggling to do it, and spending the whole days doing it. And while the world was burning, because in Brazil we didn't have only the pandemic but a crazy president, and people like the hospitals crowded, like a very huge crisis. And this whole, also this productivity idea that you have to like do things, like keep doing, keep working, like in the, and not let yourself like go crazy and be affected by all this. So yeah, it's one time I was trying to fill one of these forms up, and I just like, my body just wanted to do something else. And also the body misses the life and the streets and like the dancing and everything. So it's sort of about that, like when your body just kind of sabotages you, and the whole, how absurd this whole thing is, like artists having to fill up these forms and everybody competing for just a small amount of money to survive. And yeah, just and how to have fun with it in sort of the sense, like, and yeah, it's about that, surrendering.
For me, I think the major challenge I had to overcome was because I worked with a child who was 8 years old at the time. And the major challenge for me was developing confidence with him, with his friends, with his family, and all of that. Because working with non-actors is already difficult, but working with a child and children, non-actors, is even more difficult because they really don't owe you anything. They are giving you all of their expressions and emotions on their time, which is very valuable to a child, for free. So in order to like get the emotions that I wanted from him for the scenes that I wanted to shoot, I had to develop a bond, like over the course of like 1 month, just spending as much time with him and his family as possible, so that they trusted me enough with their time and their space and their emotions to give me whatever they felt like I needed for the project. Because at the end of the day, they did all of this because they wanted me to succeed with the project. It's not like they did it for themselves. What they got out of it was the relationship with me. So my major challenge was trying to form an authentic, real, and good friendship and bond with them, so that they felt comfortable to give me all of their space and time and energy for whatever I needed for the project.
Lisa.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so I'm Lisa, and I'm a Jamaican filmmaker and film student. My film is Sisters, which is a black and white short film about a girl who's trying to overcome the grief that she's having over her sister who died suddenly, and she's trying to pour that emotion into her music. And there's a clash as she's trying to push past this loss. And I think in a way that translates to my experience of how I feel suddenly out of kind of with no warning, COVID kind of detached to me from people and all of the things that I loved. And I poured myself into my art and my music and things that I thought would be a creative outlet, but often it would be hard for me to complete anything creatively because I felt detached. So that's how I relate to that part of the narrative. But the thing that was hard to overcome in making it, I think, could be it's my first ever black and white film, and black and white kind of requires a different amount of lighting and certain techniques in order to get it to look a certain way and to look aesthetic. So I had to put a lot of research and had to get certain equipment and ask my friends to help me to carry all the equipment and set it up, and lots of experimenting, but it was fun overall. So.
Nice. I'm glad you mentioned equipment, because being students and, it's been a student film, what was some of the equipment used? Like, how did you have to get the equipment, and to get the look and feel that you were looking for? Like, what were some of the cameras used, the lighting, like techniques even? Just share with us a bit of that.
Surprisingly, I shot quite a bit of it on my phone, actually.
Well, I used my DSLR.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. Go ahead. It's all good.
My film is very sort of simple in a way, like it's just one take. I forgot the name. Oh gosh, one. Here in Brazil is plano, but yeah, it's just one.
It's like one shot.
One shot, yeah.
Yeah.
How can I? Okay, but one of the difficulties of the process and what made it. Sorry about the noise, by the way. There's a crazy thing going on here, but I had to do it all by myself, like capture the sound and the image also. So I just put my camera. It was a DSLR as well, and one of the difficulties, but also what made the process possible, was that I was all by myself. So I was able to really like rehearse and experiment with my body and the performances and everything. But it had to be sort of like I had all these. I had a earphone with the music taped around me, so it was very do it yourself. And the camera actually fell like it in the film, so it really was the take that it fell on the floor. But yeah, that was how my equipment was very simple.
I used mainly a DSLR, just one camera, and I guess it was mainly me and one of my friends who were filming, who were helping me film on the beach in Folkestone, which is a town by the sea in England. Yeah, I think the main challenge was that because of the lockdown, we weren't allowed to have a big crew, or at least a lot of people helping. And we weren't allowed to have more than one person on camera at one time. So those kind of restrictions shaped a lot of what the film became. And it was, it was very DIY as well. I was on camera for a little bit, and then my friend Jan was on camera and I was on lights. We would just like switch around, and it was very kind of figure it out as we went along kind of thing. But yeah, I think it did aid in just how the project came out, just being quite intuitive and just going with whatever felt right.
For me, I have no idea what kind of equipment to use, because this was the first project of my second year at the Escuela Internacional de Cine in Cuba. And this was the first project of my second year, and the first project where we all had to work only with respect to our specialty. My specialty was documentary direction. So this was the first project where I was assessed as a director alone. In the first year, and later in second year and in third year, I had other projects where I had to be cinematographer and producer as well as director. But for this project specifically, I had to be the director alone and learn to trust my cinematographer, my producer, my sound person, that they know their equipment, they understand what my vision is, and they would do the best that they could do to help me fulfill it. But I tried not to pay attention to what camera it was, what song it was, and stuff like that, because I was fully in the mode of director alone. So I was only thinking about how I could relate to my subjects as a director, how I can guide my sound person, camera person to do their jobs. The only thing I do know is that they were big, old cameras that they used to use in TV from years back. And this was purposeful because we were coming from that documentary. They gave us all of the old equipment so that if we damage it, they won't have to pay as much. So they gave us all the old big equipment. And also it was a big challenge because with big equipment, going in front of people, especially non-actors, they react differently than if it's a small camera. So the challenge was to try and get them, my non-actors, to perform there and express themselves as authentically as possible, even though they have huge old equipment in front of them. But yeah, so.
Nice. Yeah. Well, Amir, you sound like you had a really blessed experience in your, because I showed other student filmmakers who be like, oh my gosh, we have to do everything. Like most people. Unfortunately, out of time. I wish we could talk some more. But thank you, all of you, for sharing some of your experience and great work. And it was such a pleasure to chat with all of you today. And thanks everyone for joining us for this Q&A. Don't forget you can still catch all of these great films as they are screening today. So check out the ttfilmfestival.com website where you can find all the information on how to buy tickets and check out the films coming up as well. Thanks. So till next time. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.